Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, Lincoln Riley is scared to play LSU. He's been trying to get out of this game for 2 years, and I've been telling you ever since I started this channel that Lincoln Riley was a chicken shit. And finally, the chickens have come home to roost. I didn't even plan that one out. This is all over the news. Lincoln Riley, USC, attempted to get out of playing LSU. And a lot of you probably know LSU and USC are going to face off in Vegas. It's a big, big game. I believe it's going to be on a Sunday. However, per a report, people on the Trojan side have been attempting to get out of the game since Lincoln Riley was hired. And we all know that Lincoln Riley was the head coach at Oklahoma. He realized that Oklahoma was going to join the SEC along with Texas, and he took the first train out of Oklahoma town as quickly as he could and ran off to USC. And I've been telling you that ever since it happened, that he is a big chicken, and he doesn't want to play the SEC. He wants no part of it. He's scared of the SEC. And that's just the reality. That's who the guy is. And I know you're going to say, oh, no, you haven't been telling us. You're just making that up because this story came up. Okay. But anyway, he did commit to Lincoln Riley, guy that ran from Oklahoma because he didn't want to play in the SEC. Brave Sir Lincoln.
Brave Sir Robin ran away. No! Bravely ran away, away.
I didn't.
See, I can back it up. I brought the receipts.
How's bragging camp going?
I know this guy. Anybody that's going to run from a great program like Oklahoma and take off, and he took the money too, was a big part of it. But I knew he didn't want any part of the SEC. Now look, a lot of coaches can't handle that kind of pressure, and it's understandable. You know, even Urban Meyer got tired of it, and he went up to Ohio State, which worked out good for him, but he said he couldn't handle the pressure of the SEC. It was hurting his health. And I totally understand. I'm telling you, when you play in the SEC, not only are you playing great teams on a fairly regular basis, there are a few easy ones, but most of them are not. Sorry, Vanderbilt.
How dare you!
But on top of that, your fan base expects to win. They expect to win at a very high level. That's super hard to do when you're in the SEC. So he ran off to the West Coast, where football is kind of like, I don't know. It's like a secondary type sport. I don't really know what they're into out there, but I know football's not a big thing to them. That's why the Pac-12 went away, because people didn't care. They weren't watching. Believe me, there are a ton of people out there. If just some of them would have watched football, Pac-12 would still be there. They don't care. They don't. I don't know. They're busy surfing or something. But anyway, it says USC tried for nearly 2 years to find a way out of the contract to play LSU in Vegas because Trojans coach Lincoln Riley didn't want the game, multiple sources told Saturday Down South. As late as last fall, after Jen Cohen was hired away from Washington to be the new USC AD, the USC administration was still trying to get out of the game, including offering other opponents to LSU, sources said. And the kickoff September 1st at 7:30. Everybody will be watching that ball game, I can assure you. Now, USC has decided to go into the Big Ten, so now they're part of Fox. It says at one point, Fox Sports got involved and tried to further the process. The network wasn't enamored with the idea of USC's first game as a Big Ten member being broadcast by their rival, which is ABC ESPN. And also, they even went to the agent, and the same agent that works for Brian Kelly also works for Riley, Trace Armstrong. Said he got involved in the process, hoping to convince Kelly to change his mind about playing the game. Ultimately, there was no luck. LSU and USC will be playing that game. And I got to give some credit to Brian Kelly. You know, he wasn't going to run scared. Plus, they're getting like $5 million a piece for this ball game, and that's a lot of money. Now, Lincoln Riley doesn't give a crap about the money. He's loaded. He took a huge pay increase when he went out to USC, and he left Oklahoma in a huge lurch. Took his best players with him. I mean, he really creaked Oklahoma big time. But Brian Kelly's like, hey, bring it on. Bring it. He's not afraid to play USC. And look, you would think USC would want to play LSU because their defense was terrible last year. But he's got a thing about the SEC. That conference scares the crap out of him. And that's just the way that it is. But I've been saying this, and I was just like, finally, proof positive that Lincoln Riley is a big old chicken. All right, folks. Now, the second part of this video is a Kentucky sports writer, our infamous and legendary Nick Roush, has decided to rip on Heupel, calling him all gimmicky and all that kind of stuff, which is their favorite word. And we're going to get into that. And this story is on A to Z Sports by Zach Reagan. It said Kentucky football writer goes viral for bad take on Tennessee Vols offense. And, of course, you knew it was going to be Nick Roush. There was no way it wasn't going to be. And they're talking about Mincy, who was an offensive lineman who transferred out to Kentucky this offseason. And it said, after transferring, Mincy pointed out that he's had trouble adjusting to the Wildcats' offense. Since I transferred here, I haven't really ever worked on open in, inside out, outside zone, et cetera, et cetera. Said, what's giving me trouble right now is the play action pass. It's just all different, all new to me. Said Roush suggested that Tennessee's offense under Heupel is gimmicky while pointing out that he believes it works for 3 reasons. Run so many plays and snap the ball so quickly it fatigues the opponents because they're not in good shape, I guess. Wide receivers line up near the sidelines, forcing defenders to play on islands. That's just stupid, isn't it? The last thing you want to do is stress out cornerbacks and put them on an island. What a dumb thing to do. He should be smart and bring it all inside. That way the cornerbacks won't feel stressed, because that's not fair.
That's not fair!
Don't raise your voice to me.
Poor little cornerbacks. And lastly, having a playmaking QB. When receivers do not win on the outside in open space, there's plenty of room for a mobile QB to carry the ball 7 to 8 yards and move the chains. So let me see if I got this straight. The last thing you want is a Mahomes-type quarterback, somebody that can make something happen when the play breaks down. That hasn't worked out for a lot of the players out there. I mean, Bryce Young was terrible at Alabama. Whenever the play broke down, all he would do is just take off and make something magical happen. And nobody's doing that in the NFL at all. So, yeah, that's very gimmicky. Having a dual-threat quarterback is the most gimmicky thing in the world, Nick. He said it works, but it created some skepticism among NFL scouts. How much of a player's success is based on skills, or is he relying on a system to create explosive plays? As a hater of everything that is Tennessee Orange, I am happily riding the Heupel gimmick offensive train. And Zach said there's plenty of things wrong with this, obviously. He brings up Darnell Wright, who was really about to quit the game. He was so despondent after the Jeremy Pruitt situation. And then when Heupel came back in, he wound up being a top 10 pick for the Chicago Bears, and he started all 17 games as a rookie. And then Zach brings up the fact that the new offensive coordinator they got at Kentucky is going to be using the fact that they got a quarterback they feel like can run some. And their coordinator said, I think it's critical, I really do, said Hamden during his introductory press conference. He said, of a quarterback's ability to run, he said, I really believe that the quarterback has got to at least get 2 first downs a game with his legs. I think it can be huge, a huge advantage, especially in the college game. He said, Kentucky will go no huddle about 60% of the time and use an up-tempo approach. He said, I would generally say we're a no-huddle operation. He said, we still have the ability to huddle, but it does not necessarily mean we're going to go fast all the time. So if I understand Nick Roush's mindset, the number one thing you should do at a university, especially, whether it's Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, is really work towards making sure the NFL is happy with the way you run your offense or defense. Secondly, you should have a very stoic, one-dimensional quarterback who really, it's really best if he doesn't use his legs at all. If he does, it should be a mistake, because the last thing you want is a dual-threat quarterback. And you should go really slow and make sure the defense really gets set up perfect. And then once the defense tells you they're okay, you can go ahead and snap the ball, then you should snap the ball, not before, because the defense should rule. So I think Nick makes a lot of sense there. Really, we should change everything we do, because it really hadn't worked very well. What have we won, like 20 games in the last 2 years? And it was going so well under Pruitt, who was doing exactly what Nick wanted. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Nick wants us to not be any good. Yeah, that could be the case. I can't tell how sincere he is, though.
Now we're stuck here. Mark Stoops is 2-9 against this team. And to walk around this place before the game, I was disgusted. The smugness of those guys just walking around like, we're going to walk in here, we're going to kick your ass, and you can't do anything about it. And it made me sick. And you know what? They did it. They still did it. What the hell? Can we just beat this team? I know that Mark Stoops has done a lot of good things. This is his one really bad thing. The stupid stat about beating teams with a winning record and taking the next step and blah, blah. Just freaking beat Tennessee. Please, can we just stop losing to this stupid team with their stupid orange colors, and their stupid song, and their woo, get their woo on out of here.
But anyway, that's Nick. You can always count on him for something magical, for something very interesting. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big sports stories. And if you haven't subscribed, hit this little button right here. It won't cost you a dime. Helps me out. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.